Sorry, what was the website? Do you want to repeat it again?
I'll gladly do that.
Yeah, sorry.
Which part do you want me to repeat?
The website you said.
The website, yes. The website where you get a free download of the 6 Wonderful Habits Manual is called 6wonderfulhabits.com.
Thank you.
That's the name of the website. It's not my website, it's my partner's, Shragi Ziskin's website. It's my manual. And when you want to type in without a space in between. 6, the number 6, wonderfulhabits.com. What are they? The wonderful habit of being grateful. The wonderful habit of being joyful. The wonderful habit of being kind. The wonderful habit of being self-confident. The wonderful habit of being courageous. And the wonderful habit of being enthusiastic. Now, when you start off in life, it's not a trick question. How old were you on your first day, at the end of your first day on the planet? Not a trick question. You're 1 day old, right? So when you look at a 1 day old infant, he can't speak, he can't understand any language, he has 0 skills. He knows how to cry, but that's how we call it skill. He's hungry and tired, and feels pain, cries. So that's how we all start off. And then little by little, we pick up our first step, then we learn other skills, and we pick up more skills, and we pick up attitudes. Now there's positive, there's 2 patterns, there's millions of patterns, but there's 2 basic, welcome. Basic patterns of our thoughts. And then one is positive mental attitude, which is known as PMA, positive mental attitude, or NMA, negative mental attitude. And these become habits. But there's something which I call PTA. What does PTA stand for? Positive Torah attitudes. Positive Torah attitudes. Because is it possible that a person can have Torah attitudes and feel awful all the time? Oh yeah, I don't do this right, and I don't do that right, and I don't do enough of this, I don't do enough of that. So a person can have a negative Torah attitude and feel awful all the time. Or you can feel, wow, as King David said in chapter 100 in Tehillim, chapter 100 in Psalms, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. Serve God with joy. And you can only be joyful if you're joyful. That's a tautology. Of course, it's true. Now, what do we have in all of our habits of thoughts, feelings, words, actions? That's what we have. We have patterns of our thoughts, patterns, feelings, patterns of words, patterns of our actions. Thoughts, feelings, words, actions. So when your patterns of are habitual, of being grateful, so grateful thoughts. Let's all say it together. Grateful thoughts.
Grateful thoughts.
Grateful feelings.
Grateful feelings.
Grateful words.
Grateful words.
Grateful actions.
Grateful action.
Great. Now let's go to the next habit of being joyful. Joyful thoughts.
Joyful thoughts.
Joyful feelings.
Joyful feelings.
Joyful words.
Joyful words.
Joyful actions.
Joyful action.
Kind.
Kind.
Kind thoughts.
Kind
Kind
thoughts.
feelings.
Kind
Kind
feelings.
words.
Kind
Kind
words.
actions.
Kind action.
Self-confident. Self-confident thoughts. Self-confident feelings. Self-confident words. Self-confident
words.
actions.
Courageous action.
Courageous. Courageous thoughts.
Courageous thoughts.
Courageous feelings.
Courageous
Courageous
feelings.
words.
Courageous
Courageous actions. Enthusiastic. Enthusiastic thoughts.
Enthusiastic thoughts.
Enthusiastic feelings.
Enthusiastic feelings.
Enthusiastic words.
Enthusiastic words.
Enthusiastic actions.
Enthusiastic action.
Now Rambam, in his classic work, Yad Chazaka, writes, how do you make any pattern to internalize it, to make it a kinyan, to make it the way you are. The Rambam Hilchos Deos. The Rambam divides all the laws of Judaism in 73 different titles. And the second one is called Hilchos Deos, which deals with our character development. So in chapter 1, he says, how do you develop a positive character trait? You do the positive action over and over again, over and over again. How many times? Rambam doesn't say, meaning to say, because when you talk about making something a habit, you'll find different numbers that people say, and it doesn't make a difference. Why not? If you make something a habit, let's say a person has a habit that he robs banks, and he's 40 years old. So this guy is 40 years old, has a habit, he robs banks, and he robbed 20 banks already. So if he's 20 years old, and he robbed 20 banks, how many days did he not rob a bank? Many days, right? You call him a bank robber or not? Well, most days he didn't rob banks, only 20 days. But we call him a bank robber because he's a serial bank robber, because he did it over and over. So when we're talking about these positive qualities, which I like to call them habits, to make it easier. You call them traits, you call them characters, traits, then people have different attitudes, how easy or hard it is to change. And that's why the word that I personally like, instead of the word change, is the word upgrade, upgrade. Because we all start off, how old are we after our first day? 1 day old, 1 day old. What are our habits? We don't have any. We don't have any habits yet. So that means everybody who was grateful, everybody who was joyful, everybody who was kind, everybody who was ever self-confident, everybody who was courageous, everybody who was ever enthusiastic, had to start from the beginning. No matter who they are, no matter what country they were born in, they all had to start at the beginning. They all had to make it a habit. And when you download this 6 Wonderful Habits for a Wonderful Life, that manual, you have text to do it. Now, what if you don't want to download it? You have the card. So, what does it say in the card? Today and every day, I keep upgrading my being grateful. Everybody together, let's say it together. Today and every day, I keep upgrading my being grateful. Today and every day, I keep upgrading my being joyful. Today and every day, I keep upgrading my being kind. Today and every day, I keep upgrading my being self-confident. Today and every day, I keep upgrading my being courageous. Today and every day, I keep upgrading my being enthusiastic. Now, we're repeating this 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, make it, you'll always have the habit. Of course not. The only way you can make a habit, you have to do it many, many, many times. How often? I don't know. I still haven't made this habit a total habit. And I repeated this over many, many, many times already. Am I always like this? No. Sometimes I'm like this. Now, when you think in terms of states, positive states and there's negative states, all these habits are positive states. Then there's negative states, being upset, being nervous, being frustrated, being angry, being envious. Those are some of the negative states. And easy to go into negative states. Now, since I mentioned the word negative states, I'm in my file in my brain called negative state file. But I don't want to be that state here, so therefore I'm going to say, I keep upgrading my being grateful, joyful, kind, self-confident, courageous, enthusiastic. So, like a rocket to take off, you have to have more energy in the beginning, but once you build the habit, it becomes easier and easier and easier. Okay, any questions? That's really all the ideas that you need to have as a basic foundation. Is that enough? Of course not. I wrote books on all these subjects, and in the manual you get the 20 key ideas for each one. So the free manual is I highly advise anybody who would like to have these 6 habits become their habits, and you care about anybody, you want them to have these 6 wonderful habits. Comments, questions so far? I'm very nearsighted, so I don't see, so when the sun's shining. So if anyone has a question, you don't have to wait till I call on you to ask the question. Somebody had it? Yeah, good.
It's not so much, yeah, I've heard people say that if you do something for 6 weeks, it becomes a habit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why
what
say it okay like that? Maybe. I don't
yeah.
know. 6 weeks, it becomes a habit. What would that mean? So let's say if it means it's more of a habit if I wouldn't do it for 6 weeks every day. But is it a total habit? Now, some things are easy to become habits. Let's say smoking cigarettes, because of the addiction. It becomes, all addictions are habits. And that's why people help people overcome addictions using the word habit. It makes it a little easier. Well, addiction's hard to overcome. Well, a habit, you may change it to a positive habit. And that's why you want to have a positive mental attitude. And for our purposes, we call it positive Torah attitude. A positive Torah attitude, as said by King David HaMelech says, Iv Hashem b'simcha, serve God with joy. That means the 3 basic aspects of Judaism: Torah, Avodah, Milas Chasadim. Studying Torah, learning Torah, hearing the Torah ideas, avodah, prayer, blessings, and milas chasadim, acts of kindness. Those are the 3 pillars, and the more we do them, the more habitual they become. And that's why a child that grows up seeing parents that are very big on these positive qualities will easily look at as normal positive quality. Let's say chesed. My father was a student of the Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim was a very big tzaddik, very righteous, elevated person. He learned in Rodin, Poland. My father was in his yeshiva for 12 years. 7 years when he was alive. He based his name of his first book, Chafetz Chaim, meaning wanting life, based on a verse, chapter 34 in Psalms, where it says, Mi Chafetz Chaim, who's a person who wants life? Oh, Yamim, love days to see the good. So what is King David's advice? Guard your tongue from evil, and your lips from speaking deceit. So Chafetz Chaim focused very much on that consciousness of being careful how we speak about other people. That is on the not doing the negative, but also doing the positive. He wrote a book called Avas Chesed, loving kindness. There's the idea of doing act of kindness. Welcome, perfect timing, because it's now, and now it's time to repeat the 6 wonderful habits. What are those 6 wonderful habits? Let's see here.
Joyful.
Here. Yes. You still have more cards there? Here's some more people coming in. The fun of giving this class is we start off as close to 11 as possible, and then people keep coming in. So it's a lot better when people come in than when they walk out. But anybody is usually, they understand. Okay, today and every day I keep upgrading my being grateful. So I'll say it together. Today and every day I keep upgrading my being grateful. Today and every day I keep upgrading my being joyful. Today and every day I keep upgrading my being kind. Today and every day I keep upgrading my being self-confident. Today and every day I keep upgrading my being courageous. Today and every day I keep upgrading my being enthusiastic. So these 6 qualities are tremendously life-enhancing, very much. And we all want to live a happy life, but to live a happy life, I wrote in Gateway to Happiness, which came out in 1983, that happiness, first sentence in the book, in the introduction, happiness is a skill that can be learned. And how do you develop happiness? By focusing on what you appreciate what you're grateful for. And if you have a positive Torah attitude of being grateful, joyful, and kind. Victor Frankl, famous psychiatrist, a Jewish psychiatrist in Vienna, and when the Nazis came in power, they arrested and killed every Jew they could, but he was in concentration camp for a number of years, and he had written a manuscript called Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl said that when you have a sense of meaning in life, a positive sense.
Excuse me.
I'm videoing. Can you? Sorry. Can't remember.
When you have a sense of meaning in life, it's easier to withstand situations. Since it doesn't make a person impervious, it doesn't make a person guarantee the person will live through things. But what it does is, it gives you purpose for life, purpose for living. And it's very interesting that after the war, the Nazis tore and burnt his manuscript. He had written already the manuscript for his book, and the Nazis burnt it. And after the war, he thought that now he's going to be able to spread his ideas. But the field of psychology and psychiatry were enmeshed in Freud's ideas of the subconscious and analyzing one's dreams and free associating. Now, if your person's depressed and full of anxiety, and you free associate, I mean, just say whatever's on your mind, guess what thoughts are in your mind if you free associate? Thoughts of anxiety, depression, upsetness. So it's very good for the professional who wants to keep their clients, because you don't get better that way, and it's not very conducive to be joyful. So you don't lose your clients because they think that you know what you're doing, and eventually you'll come to the root of why you are the way you are. And the answer is, why are you the way you are? Because you're thinking, talking negatively all the time. It's very obvious. But the idea of being positive, so it's interesting. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, who lived in Brooklyn, sent a woman who was the very famous opera singer in Vienna. She sent him with a message to Viktor Frankl and said that he should know that he's right and his critics are wrong. He's right that man's search for meaning, the idea of finding meaning in life, and especially through being kindness, because everything can be taken away from a person, but you still have the ability to give people encouragement and enhance people's lives. No matter if everything taken away, you still can use your words, your mouth, by speaking encouragement. You're right, they're wrong. So he stayed in Vienna. The book came out very first in German, but then eventually in English. It was a bestseller, it still sells today, Man's Search for Meaning, because ultimately, when we're kind, research shows that just acts of kindness, your brain produces biochemistry of positive emotions, which they didn't know that in Freud's time. They had no idea about the biochemistry of emotions, and whatever your thoughts, words, and actions are, your brain will produce emotion chemicals consistent with those positive mental attitudes.
What was the name of the book?
Man's Search for Meaning.
All right, thanks.
So they reprint it all the time. It's constantly in print, and it's a very powerful book.
And the author?
Pardon?
The name of the author?
Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl. Thank you.
So, Tal Ben Shachar is an Israeli who, very smart boy, and when after high school, he got accepted into Harvard. So as an undergraduate, he went to Harvard, and then eventually got his PhD in the field of positive psychology, which wasn't around when he went to Harvard. And he gave a course and how to be happy. So, in the beginning, 6 students attended his class and 2 dropped out. The next year he had 300 students, next year he had 800 students. And in the news they kept saying about how Tobin Shachar, he spoke English with his Israeli accent, but he spoke good English. And it was amazing. And so I spoke to Tobin Shachar. We spoke together here in a seminar here in Israel. And he said to me that a person who grows up in a Torah environment doesn't need a positive psychology because you're already doing things about being grateful. You have brachos, you have those blessings, and you're saying every time you eat anything before and afterwards, you're glad, the blessing, expressing your gratitude. So, being grateful is, because, for instance, people feel if they're going to win a big lottery, well, then I'll be joyful and it'll last. Nothing lasts. Emotions don't last. In the beginning, yes, you get something, you accomplish something great, you feel wonderful, but eventually it wears off. And the only way that you can maintain these positive emotions is to keep renewing what you're doing. And that is easy why people can get frustrated. Take, for instance, I'm from Baltimore. So there's a fellow Baltimorean that I learned to swim in the same city as Baltimore as he did. I didn't never run races, and I was never interested in winning races, but this fellow named Michael swam very fast, and his build was such that he was a good swimmer, and he won Olympic championships, and he has now the most gold medals than anybody in world history in the Olympics. Now, when Michael once got arrested for drugs, driving under the influence, it made the headlines in the Baltimore paper. Now somebody else, okay, they shouldn't have taken it and under the influence. Now what in the world does he need to get good feelings by alcohol or drugs? He shouldn't get good feelings because of his success. The answer is you don't. In the beginning you feel great and then it wears off. So the only way to maintain positive feelings, you have to have a renewal of doing positive things. And that's the idea of doing mitzvahs. And ultimately, kindness. In the mission of Pirkei Avos, the ethics of the fathers, in chapter 1, we have a statement, the Kabbalah called Adam B'Sever Panim Yafis. Greet everybody with a positive facial expression. But then the 3rd chapter, we have a statement, the Kabbalah called Adam B'Simcha. Greet everybody joyfully. So let's say a person made it a habit to greet everybody joyfully. The only way you greet everybody joyfully is to be joyful yourself. Anybody who made that a habit, and I met some people that didn't make that a habit, wow, they're always joyful, they're always in a positive state because they renew it all the time when they greet people. Any comments, questions so far?
Very interesting. That's a comment.
No comment, good. Now let's say about self-confidence and courage. It's the first 3 habits. Be grateful, joyful, and kind. Those qualities are up to yourselves. And self-confidence and courage helps us deal with difficult life situations. Self-confidence is that I'm aware that I know a lot of things. Because self-confidence without competence, that means if a person is very self-confident, but they're not competent at it, it's a problem. They're not open to learn. That's why one of the 48 tools required, the 6th chapter of Pirkei Avos, there is a statement in the 6th chapter that the Torah is acquired with 48 drukim, 48 ways, 48 tools. And when Noach Weinberg, the Rashiva founder of Eshet Torah, Noach Weinberg developed a whole class. And when the yeshiva started back in 1974, Noach used to give the class the 48 ways to beginners. And he gave one full class each day, 5 days a week. It took 3 months to finish the course. And they give tools. So one tool is simcha, joy. And Reb Chaim Volozhin said that studying joyfully in 1 hour, you'll accomplish much more than many hours of studying not joyfully.
Rabbi, who said
Yes.
that?
Pardon?
Who said that?
Reb Chaim Volozhin. Volozhin was the first major yeshiva. He was a disciple of the Vilna Gaon. And Chaim Volozhin started a yeshiva in Volozhin. All the yeshivas, there's many yeshivas today, are basically follow the footsteps of the Volozhin yeshiva. Until I had a roommate when I was 15. He was a fellow who was super diligent. He was much older than me, 7 years older, and very loved learning Talmud, and he had tremendous joy. And he's the most joyful person I ever met in my life, because he used to learn till 2 o'clock every morning. And he learned with such enthusiasm and such joy. It was very amazing. It's interesting that when he wanted to get married, he only wanted to marry somebody who would want to marry somebody who wanted to keep learning their whole life. And that's what his wife did. She eventually became a lawyer. She became a lawyer, and she supported the financial of the family, and he ended up staying in college. He was a major Torah scholar from his love of learning. But that idea of the potential is there of being joyful. Now, this is why you say PTA, positive Torah attitude. It's possible to have the Torah attitude and negative feelings, because, for instance, one person who happened to give a class in yeshiva told me, "You can't read biographies of great people, Torah people." Why? Every biography makes them feel bad. Oh yeah, I'm not like this person, I'm not like that person, I'm not like that person. Of course we're not. We only be ourselves. We only have one of each kind of person. So that's why envy, with Dessler, in his classic book, Michtav Elyon, has an essay on happiness that is a letter he sent to his son. And his son was a mitzvah boy, and he told his son about the way to be a happy life is to really enjoy studying Torah. What it gets in the way is kina, type, and cover. 3 negative qualities prevent the person from appreciating what they have, prevent the person from feeling joy. One is kina, envy, because if a person is envious, anytime you see or hear about somebody who accomplished something you didn't, you can feel bad. Oh, wow, he did so much more than me. And then you feel bad about it. The other way is feeling good. Oh, I'm so glad that this person, because the sages define a wise person. Who's wise? In Pirkei Avos, we find the ethics of the fathers, where it says, who's wise? I'm learning from everyone. So every time you read or hear about someone who did a great thing, who accomplished something, What can I learn from it? What can I gain from it? We can only be ourselves. We can't be someone else. Because if a person has the attitude of envy, then all you have to have is that you always feel bad. Why? There's always somebody that knows more, can do more, accomplish more, is wealthier, more successful in some way, or has some benefit. So the only way to be joyful and being grateful and joyful and kind is to focus on what you can do. For instance, there's a great book that I read recently. It's the biography of Eli Beer. Who's Eli Beer? He's the fellow that started Hatzalah. Hatzalah is an organization that first I'll tell you the name of his the biography which was written about him is called 90 Seconds. 90 Seconds. Why 90 seconds? Because his goal was that any place in Israel, if someone has a heart attack, somebody has an accident, somebody needs emergency health care, within 90 seconds, we should have a volunteer showing up at that person's house or wherever he is once they get the call. And so he started off as a little young boy. He didn't like studying. When he was 5 years old, he was near a bus in Bayou Dagan neighborhood of Jerusalem. The bus that blew up, there was a bomb on the bus. And he happened to walk by, it was near his house, and he walked by a man who was lying on the ground bleeding, and the man said to him, "Help me, help me." He was only 5 years old and he couldn't do anything. And he felt so bad, but it really got to him strongly. He said, "When I grow up, I have to learn medicine, I have to be able to help people." And he made a sort of commitment that when he gets older, he's going to learn how to help people. And he ended up not being a good student. So he went from one school and then he left. He got kicked out of different schools. He was very not interested in studying, but he was interested in helping people. And he started, his father owned a bookstore, a Jewish bookstore by the guy. And his father felt bad that his son wasn't, his father was a person who had studied in yeshivas, and his father felt bad that his son wasn't even studying. But eventually his father was very proud of his son. He saved so many lives.